types of scientists. In this video, we are going to learn about different types of scientists. But first, what is a scientist? Scientists are inquirers because they ask questions and try to learn how and why things work. Scientists are researchers and do experiments to try to find out the answers to how and why things work. Scientists are communicators because they share their discoveries with other scientists and people. Scientists help people become more knowledgeable so they can live better and safer lives. Good scientists are caring because they want to help make things better. Good scientists are principled because they want to discover the truth and do not want to harm or hurt anyone or anything. So, what are scientists? They are inquirers, researchers, communicators, knowledgeable, caring, and principled. When we think of a scientist, we might picture in our mind a person in a white coat working or doing experiments inside a lab. Well, that might be true, but there are also many different kinds and types of scientists. In this video, we're going to take a look at different types of scientists, what they are called, and what they do. There are over 100 different kinds of scientists. Science has three branches. There are three different types of science. There is Earth science, which studies the Earth and space and the universe. Another type of science is called life science, which studies plants and animals and all living things. And a third branch of science is called physical science, which studies the materials, the matter, which things on Earth and outside of Earth in space are made of and how they interact with each other. So, these are three different types of science: Earth science, life science, physical science. So let's start to take a look at the different types of scientists that work in Earth science. A geographer is a scientist that studies the Earth and its land. Geographer. An oceanographer is a scientist that studies the oceans, the water in the world. A geologist studies soil and rocks. Geologist. A paleontologist studies dinosaur bones so we can learn more about what Earth was like a long time ago. Paleontologist. volcanologist studies volcanoes. A glaciologist studies the ice glaciers. Volcanologist and glaciologist. A meteorologist studies the weather and how it changes. A conservationist is a scientist that studies how to protect the earth. A meteorologist is a scientist that studies the weather. A conservationist is a scientist that studies how to protect the earth. Now let's take a look at scientists that work in life science. A human anatomist is a scientist that studies the parts of the human body. Human anatomist. A neuropsychologist is a scientist that studies the brain and how it works. Human anatomist, neuropsychologist. A zoologist studies animals. A marine biologist studies animals and plants in the ocean. Zoologist is a scientist that studies animals. A marine biologist is a scientist that studies animals and plants in the ocean. A botanist is a scientist that studies plants. A horticulturist is a scientist that studies farming and gardening, so people know how to grow food in a much better way. An ornithologist studies birds. Entomologist studies insects. Let's take a look at some scientists that work in physical science. A robotics engineer is a scientist that designs and builds robots that can solve problems for people. Robotics engineer. Astronomer is a scientist that studies stars, planets, and other objects in the sky, outside in space. Astronomer. So, we had a look at different types of scientists that work in the three branches of science: earth science, life science, and physical science. Geographer, oceanographer, geologist, paleontologist. These all work in the earth science branch. Let's remember some scientists that work in the life science field or branch. Human anatomist, neuropsychologist, zoologist, marine biologist. Now let's take a look at some scientists that work in the physical science. An astronomer A robotics engineer. Wow. What kind of scientist would you like to be when you grow up one day?